The Republican National Convention rolls on. It will be hard to rival the highlights of day one, the unveiling of Donald Trump's VP pick and the pair's rock star walk onto the convention stage, all against the backdrop of Trump's almost martyrdom for the party and the disappearance of some of his legal woes. Fox 40's political analysts from both sides of the aisle, Republican Tim Rosales and Democrat Ed Emerson, with me now live to talk about it all. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Morning.
Good morning.
So Nikki Haley to be a feature tonight endorsing a man she once lambasted. Freshman Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, once a vocal critic of former President Trump, now joining him on the ticket. We know nominating conventions play hard to the base. Was Vance the right choice for Trump? Does his choice do anything to draw anyone into the tent who wasn't already there? Tim?
Well, I think J.D. Vance, Senator Vance, is a safe choice. He's from the Midwest, from Ohio. He's a former Marine. He's got a very distinguished record in the United States Senate and as just as an individual. So I think it was a good and safe pick for President Trump. And certainly, I think it makes a pretty strong ticket. And I can't wait to see the J.D. Vance Kamala Harris debates, because J.D. Vance is very accomplished from that standpoint. So should be an exciting campaign season.
Alrighty. Ed, does Vance bring anybody into the Republican tent that wasn't already there?
No. I think the base is solid at this point. Their candidate almost got shot and managed to turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. I mean, he got up, pumped his fist, blood on his face. I mean, if people were going to support Donald Trump on the base in the MAGA world and that sort of thing, they're definitely there now. And, the VP choice has always been for me a little bit of a regional thing. And I think it's a good move. I think Vance is a whack-a-mole, just like Trump. I think we're going to have fun. As soon as we settle on a designated candidate, Joe Biden's our guy. We're riding with Biden, and it's going to be a great election. Looking forward to it.
All righty. Well, Ed, after Saturday's tragic events in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump said he wanted to set a different tone for his nominating convention. We heard party star South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem say to her fellow Republicans last night that we, speaking of her party brethren, have to go out and persuade every single heart and soul to adopt their vision, but that they can't do that by arguing, that they have to listen to people at the grocery store, at their church. How effective was that, Ed?
Well, start with yourself. I mean, start with me. Is what I was inferring there is that I'm going to refer to him as former President Trump. I mean, I'm going to stop calling each other names. Stop throwing stuff. It's not a food fight. It's the presidency of the United States. Now, it has been my experience in the last couple of years that former President Trump is probably the lead mud thrower on a lot of these things. But don't stoop to conquer, my friend. Let's take this straight, take it one day at a time. Let's argue about the issues, GATT, NAFTA, minimum wage. We'll argue on any of those different points. Let's not get into this. And the other thing that I suggest very strongly is leave their families out of this. I don't get that. I never liked that. I mean, when I worked for Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton was always a target for a lot of folks, and she was 12 at the time. So it was very frustrating. So I think we have to take a high road. We have to find a way to have a conversation like Tim and I do on this show.
Okay, Tim. So Kristi Noem was very nice. David Sachs, founder of Yammer, much more pointed, kind of blaming the whole Russian-Ukraine conflict on President Biden. So this unity thing, is it just window dressing? Look over here, but we're going to jab here?
Well, we settle our differences in the United States with ballots, not bullets. And I think what Ed and I are both saying is you can have legitimate issue debates, right? You can talk about Ukraine and Russia. You can have different perspectives on that. Republicans and Democrats can have different perspectives on how to get this economy going again and offer different solutions. We can have a different viewpoint. Ed and I do all the time. Have a different viewpoint. We do with our families sitting at the dinner table all the time. That's the kind of tone I think that we have to think about is the fact that it's okay to have different viewpoints. Don't ostracize somebody because they have a different viewpoint. But what Kristi Noem was saying is, okay, let's listen. Let's internalize that viewpoint. And then, hey, offer a counter a counter perspective or maybe an explanation. At the end of the day, this is the United States of America. You don't have to agree with me, and we can still go down and grab a cup of coffee, go have a beer, and talk about, lots of different things. So that's what I think, and we've done that. We have a history of doing that, and I think that's something that we all have to keep in mind.
Okay, yesterday's convention theme was Make America Wealthy Again. Today, it's about Make America Safe Again. Obviously, the assassination attempt from over the weekend is going to be part of that discussion. Given the fact that America loves an underdog, a targeted underdog, a former president who was targeted by an assassin, is there any oxygen in the room, gentlemen, left for Biden, who is struggling up out of that debate? Didn't have two great sit-down interviews with network anchors in the wake of all of that. Is there any oxygen for him left in kind of the American political sentiment? And we're almost out of time, so we want to hear the answers, but keep them short.
Yes, and Democrats can win, and we can win this fall in this election. Donald Trump is formidable. He's proved that. Former President Trump has proved that he is a formidable person on the landscape of American politics. He has a base. I think it's entirely winnable for Democrats. There are more of us, technically, than there are Republicans in the United States. We need to lockstep. We need to get in, and we need to turn out the vote. That's the key. Turnout is going to be the key this fall.
Okay, yeah, and I'll say real quickly is, Joe Biden's won elections for 50 years. He knows how to win elections. He is a very formidable candidate. Donald Trump has won elections as well. I mean, these are, two, Joe Biden much more experienced, certainly in the political arena, but, two men who are going to be, really, going at it with each other through the fall campaign. So it should be exciting, but they're going to offer very different perspectives on how we move America forward. And that's what Americans need to look at.
All right, and we'll be checking back in frequently for your perspectives on how they try to do that. Thank you so much for your insight today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ciceri. Thank you, Tim.